The Power Pivot works well with pivot tables. So that is how we draw and we compare data and draw analytics from this model. So let's see how we can do that. So let's go ahead and add an analysis tab. In here, we are going to insert pivot tables from a data model. Okay. And so on the left, we have a field list. So this indicates all our tables. These are all our tables. The ones that have a cylinder next to them, these are created from connections. So these are the ones that have queries. And the ones that don't have a cylinder next to them, these are just existing tables in our worksheet, which have been loaded into the data model. So this is the dashboard that we want to build. So let's go over the requirements one more time. So these are the objectives of the analytics. One, the company needs to see how many orders they raise, and they want to compare that on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, on a per category basis. They want to see how much they spend on procurement, and they want to also compare these per category, maybe even per supplier, per month. They want to see this, compare the spend versus the budget. They want to know, are they over budgeting? Are they under budgeting? Are they overspending? They want to see their top suppliers so that they can know which relationships to foster. They want to see their average lead time. That is how much for each supplier, what's their average lead time, so that they can know, they can plan better. They also want to see their shipping costs. So these are the information that they need to see. Let's start with the first pivot table. So we always want to first have a table that summarizes everything without any filters. And the first steps we need to do is create first the summary analytics, which is the total budget. Let's first start with the total budget. We can just drag the budget field to the values. Then we need to also see the total procurement spend. We need to see the total procurement spend. So that's found in the total cost column. And if you want to see this in a row kind of style, we can drag the values field from the columns to the rows so that we can have a row like so. Then maybe later on, we might need to compare. We might also want to see the total shipment cost. What's the total shipment cost? Then we need also to see the order values. We need to see the supplied value. Then we also need to see the average lead time. So this is just a summary pivot table. So we need to change this to average. And reduce the decimal places. Like so. We also need to see the average order value. So let's change the field here to value field settings, average, okay. Then change the number format to number, no decimals. Now let's go ahead and do some calculations. So first of all, as you noticed in our dashboard, these are text boxes. Text boxes are the ones that will give you this kind of effect. You can also use in-cell values by merging cells, but I prefer text boxes. They have a bit more room for design. So the things that we need to see what's the percentage of the shipment cost to the total cost. So we need a percentage here, and then we're just going to do equals to this one, divide by the procurement cost, and then change this to percentage. And then just do one decimal place, but we need to wrap this around an if error so that if there is no value, we don't get an error message like so. What about the supplied value? What's the percentage of the supplied value to the budget? So it's 58%, 58.3. So we wrap this around an error. Well, so let's push this to the side a bit, because in order for us to use the text boxes, we cannot directly reference our pivot table. We need to reference cells. So we're just going to again copy this over here. so that so let's just change this to number without decimal places. Let's change this to currency, $ currency without decimal places, and so that now we can reference this directly from the textbooks. So there we have a summary table. So we can group these as the first analytics. Let's put a right border there. And the second thing we need to do is, after we've created the summary, is we need now to compare the values. First of all, we need to compare the spend per category. So we're going to insert another pivot table from data model. Okay. Let's first insert the categories in rows, and let's insert the total cost in the columns. So there we have the spend per category. That marks us the second table. So let's insert another pivot table, and this time we want to see the spend per month. So we're going to use the calendar. Notice we are getting the values from the calendar. So we're going to get the month, the short name of the month in rows, and the value of the total cost in columns. Now, this is not well arranged, and you cannot arrange it alphabetically. So we need to go back to the data model, Power Pivot, and inside our calendar, we're going to select the short month name. We're going to come to the home tab and sort by column, and we sort it by the month index. So this will sort it according to the month index. Okay. Close this one out, and as you can see, it's properly marked out as the months follow each other on the calendar. That marks the second analysis. So the next thing we need to do is find our top 5 suppliers. So we're going to insert a table, pivot table, then select the supplier from the supplier table, supplier names, and then insert the total cost in the values. And then we're going to use the pivot table filter, the value filter, and we're going to do top n, and we're going to do top 5 according to the sum of total cost. Okay, so that gives us the top 5 suppliers, which we can in turn sort from largest to smallest, like so. This we can also sort this from largest to smallest. So that marks our pivot table. And now we have obtained all the total costs per the category, per month, and per supplier. Now we need to compare the spend and the budget. So we're going to insert a table first for the, let's copy this table, because this is what we're going to recycle. Copy this, paste it here, and then we just need to add the budget column. And then we don't need to compare those fields that have an empty value. So we're going to find a value filter does not equal to sum of total cost does not equal to 0, where the sum of total cost does not equal to 0. So if we've not spent anything, we don't want to compare anything. So that's the big thinking behind it. Then we also need to do the same for month. Copy, paste it here, then add the budget column. Then we're also going to do the same. We're going to say value field setting does not equal to total cost to 0. So we don't need to compare anything that's not spent. We need one last pivot table. We are going to compare the average lead time per supplier. Let's come here and insert the supplier under the rows, and then the lead time under the values. But instead of sum, we're going to change the value to the average, and then we're going to number format, and number, since they are days, we just need a whole number. So those are the pivot tables that we need, but we might need one more, which we are going to see later. So the next thing is we are going to design the dashboard.